What is up, everybody? This is the Wild Nutrition Podcast, and I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and this is episode 10. And today we're going to talk about getting things set up for 2023, your goal setting, and how to plan out your 2023 for whatever your goals may be. So we're going to mostly talk about as if there are health and fitness goals that you might have, but this can relate to any goal and kind of just breaking things down because the year goes fucking fast. Wasn't too long ago. It was the start of 2022. And here we are at basically, the end of the week, it's going to be 2023. So let's break it down of how you should start planning, because the problem a lot of people have is you're going to have blinders on. You're only going to look at like the next week, the next day, the next 30 days. Most people aren't looking ahead at what does the next 90 days, the next 6 months, the next 9 months. And this is where you get into issues because you just are constantly just like chasing like the next 24 hours. And you get wrapped up in that rather than like pulling back and pulling away and having that, seeing the bigger picture and being able to have a more objective look at how things are going. So everyone's about to, and the reason I'm doing this podcast is everyone's going to be setting their New Year's resolutions. Now, regardless of whether you do it or not, it's so ingrained in our culture of like doing bullshitty New Year's resolutions that you're going to, even if you're like, they're stupid like I am, you're still going to think about it. So regardless, you're still fucking thinking about it. So let's just go ahead and use it so you can start planning things out. And because this is coming out a week before, you can kind of get a head start on things. So we want to plan out your year. Now, that doesn't mean everything needs to be perfectly planned out. It's a lot to perfectly plan out a year and things don't go well. So we can really dive into the first 90 days of 2023 and get that hyper specific. But we want to kind of just map out the year. So what I would recommend, depending on whether you're in the car listening to this or wherever you're at, you might have to visualize it. Or if you can walk along and do it with kind of how I do it. So you want to look at a year. So get a year calendar up, or at least 6 months. And we're just going to like map out, when are you going to be doing your fat loss phase? When are we coming out of a diet? What are your busy seasons? So when can we actually like really dive into your goals? So if your goal is weight loss, what time of the year is the best, like perfect time of the year? And this can be quarters, this can be seasons. Just look, like right now, most of our PWC clients are in maintenance. Like I shouldn't say most, about half of them are maintenance mode. And they're, as of this week, like when this episode comes out, they're going to actually be going into like weight loss phase. But for the holidays, generally that's a really shitty time. And a lot of people get started like late September, early October, like, yeah, I'm going to lose all this weight. And then all of a sudden the holidays hit and throw them off. So while it's a great time to like get back in the gym because kids are back in school, it's usually a pretty shitty time to actually focus on weight loss. Whereas for a lot of people, January or February is a great time because kids are back in school now. This winter, there's not much going on. Holidays, you have like quote unquote Super Bowl. If most people do something for that, I feel lots of people do, at least where I live. So you have Super Bowl, you have Valentine's Day, you have St. Patty's Day coming up. Like, okay, like nothing crazy. Yeah, you might go crazy on some of them, but not really. Like, okay, cool. So you're going to Q1 is a great time to get things rolling. But we want to look and see what are we going to do Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, or what are we going to do in the winter, the spring, the fall, the summer, however you want to. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Sorry, I said that backwards or a little off. So however you best visualize it, that's what you want to do. So if you're, that's only four things. So at a minimum, each one's going to be about 12 weeks. So depending on what part of the country you're in, maybe winter is longer. So it might not be the best time to focus on one thing because it might be longer, but that's why I like quarterly. So it's going to be about 12 weeks. So we know like 12 weeks, we can really push ourselves. And then we might need to take a little bit of a break. Then we can push ourselves again for another like 12 weeks and then take a break. And that's a great way to split things up. If you can time out, like vacations or other things, put that on. But look at your schedule. If you know every summer you take a vacation, that might not be, or multiple vacations. Every week you're going to the beach, like around here, a lot of people go to the beach almost every weekend. That might be a really shitty time to try to be in a calorie deficit when you're traveling to the beach every single weekend for 3 to 4 days all summer long. Like, great time to maybe like build some muscle, focus on strength. You'll have 3 to 4 days to recover. Maybe you do cardio down there and then you're back to the gym. Like, that's great. But for weight loss, being in control of your calories might not be the best. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. You have to figure this out for yourself and look at your individual schedule. But that it's just something to think about. Like, if that's you for summer, if you only take one vacation in summer, might not be a big deal. But if you're taking multiple and you're traveling a bunch, it might be a good time to focus on something else. So you can look at a year. I like to break open like a year calendar, but to make it even more simple, especially if you're just listening to this, like in your car, or maybe you're working out right now, is just draw a quadrant. And if you're not in place you can't draw, you can visualize it. So you're just going to literally draw a quadrant. So one vertical line, one horizontal line, they meet in the middle of each other. So you have 4 different sections: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. What are the different things you're going to work on? When are you going to be really fucking busy and can't focus on your goals 100%? So if this is weight loss, is that Q1, Q2, you can really focus on that. And then Q3, Q4, maybe not. Like, maybe that second half of the year, it's not a great time to focus 100% on weight loss. Maybe we focus on other goals here. So pull back Q1. Hey, we have nothing really going on. Let's just do that weight loss here because I can put my heart and soul into it. And then Q2, things start to get a little bit busier, but it's not terrible. It's not awful, but maybe things start to slow down, or you start to lose that motivation. And that's where, okay, maybe we start focusing on another goal. So I'll break it down for you. Obviously, I get prepared for hunting. So Q1, I am going to be going into a fat loss phase. I want to lose 10 to 15 pounds in the winter and spring here. And then I will be going into a muscle building and strength phase after that, before I go into an endurance phase right before hunting season gets basically kicked off. And that's what I do each year. So I'm going fat loss phase, and then whatever muscle I lose, I put that back on the back end of that, reverse diet out, and then endurance phase towards the end of summer. And for me, it's not a true like 12 weeks. Like, endurance might be a shorter amount of time, or the muscle building phase might be a shorter amount of time, because then during hunting season, I do like a muscle building strength phase, because I'm not as consistent with getting to the gym because I'm hunting more. So, or I'm less consistent with cardio. Generally, I'm only working out 3 to 4 days a week versus like 5 to 6 days per week the rest of the year. So that's how I break it down for myself. So if you draw the quadrant for me, that's what it looks like. You can do it for you too. We're going to Q1. If your goal is weight loss, you're going to focus 100% on weight loss. And then as soon as you start getting burnt out a little bit from weight loss, guess what? There's a light at the end of the tunnel, because your goals are going to change. That's another thing. People just focus like, okay, I'm going to focus only on weight loss. And that's going to be 52 weeks. Like, when's the last time you were able to be 100% focused on one goal for 52 weeks? 350 plus days. It's really fucking hard. Like, you get burnt the fuck out. Professional athletes don't play year round. So you're going to be focused and dialed in for a short amount of time, like make the most of that time, be hyper focused. And then as soon as you start getting burnt out, there's another goal on the horizon. And this might be 12 weeks, might be the first 2 quarters. Depends how much weight you can lose, depends on your schedule. So we can go through different phases. Okay, we're going to do a muscle building phase, maybe Q2. So that would be March, April, May, June. April, May, June, maybe you have vacation scheduled for that time. It's kind of still chilly up here in Pennsylvania at that time. It's not crazy, but maybe you're going someplace tropical during that time. Okay, you come out of your weight loss phase from Q1. you're going to go into a like muscle building phase to help put on muscle, speed up your metabolism, increase your strength so you can use heavier weights. And then maybe you're not doing much in the end of Q2, and now we're starting Q3, July, August, September. All right, now we start our next weight loss phase, but now we have more muscle mass on, so we're burning more calories. We have more strength, so we can use heavier weights and burn more calories. And we're coming in mentally refreshed instead of like getting like sort of shitty, crappy results from like half-assing because of your schedule, not because of you, because of your schedule, and you're feeling burnt out. Now you're like, okay, no, I'm motivated. I'm ready to go. Like, let's fucking do this. Okay, come July, boom, you hit July, and then you start that next phase. And to get this, you have to figure this out for yourself. And then obviously, can you continue that into October maybe? And then the end of October, we're looking at probably going to a maintenance phase. Excuse me for a second. Yawn. Probably not going to edit that out. So that's a way to look at the year. And then what you can do is pull out that year-long calendar and actually start to map out like, where are my vacations? And that's where like having that big like 12-month calendar or 6-month calendar, you can plug in like, okay, we already have this scheduled for the year. I have work trips here, or generally around these dates in August, I'm traveling for work, or around these dates. And you can actually map out and make a more realistic plan. Like, okay, what does your holiday season look like, which we're coming out of? And if you were trying to lose weight and you've been having shitty results with it, is that a really good goal to have this time of year going into next year? No. And, hopefully you don't really need to lose weight going into next year. But if you do, okay, or you start putting on weight. So say Thanksgiving happens and you start putting on a little bit of weight, which I did. You just know that next phase, like your weight loss phase every year, is going to be in January. So instead, it's not an excuse to like, I'm just not going to eat well and I'm not going to work out. No, it's like, let's use those extra calories to add muscle mass. We're just going to do that. And then it's going to be like 8 weeks of a muscle building phase right there. You can do that. Now, I would suggest a minimum time frame is 8 weeks, but it's better to do like more like 12 to 16 weeks per phase. So 12 weeks is about a quarter. So you're looking at 12 to 16 weeks for each phase you're going to do. And you then need to have kind of like a plan of what does each phase look like? Like, what's your training going to look like? What's realistic? Like right now, going into January, I can work out 6 days a week. Awesome. Great. Fucking do that. Summer with all your travel and vacations and everything, 3 days a week. Okay. Let's focus on some other goals. I can be really consistent with my diet right now in January. Awesome. Let's do maybe a weight loss phase where you can get that extra weight off. Summer. No, like I can watch my diet, but it's like 3 days a week. And then like we go and we get pizza and, summer beers, backyard barbecue. Okay. Probably don't want to do a weight loss phase there. Now, if you have to, you have to. But if ideally you can map out now and make a plan, then like you're going into like, okay, well, I planned on this. I'm just going to chill out. And it's not an excuse to like go all out and go crazy, but you're going to reverse that, have more calories because you're eating maintenance or a surplus during that time to help put on muscle mass so that the next phase is easier. And that's how you want to think about going into 2023. Look at your year. Just do a quick quadrant, 4 different boxes. What does Q1 look like for you? What's your Q2 goal? What's your Q3? I told you mine. And what's your Q4? That's how you get started simply doing it. It takes you 20 seconds. And don't overthink it, because the overthinking can happen in the next one, which is where, all right, you just got your goals down. Like, let's break open a year-long calendar and let's circle and figure this out a little bit more. But you have the rudimentary, the very simple plan, and simple is better in this case because a lot of people just automatically like maybe open up a 12-month calendar and be like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, don't overthink it. Just Do a super simple one. Here's your 4 different phases. That's about all you can fit into a year, regardless. Like you can't fit in much more than that. Like you technically, if you're doing an athletic program, you probably could. Maybe 5 different phases or something where you're trying to incorporate speed and explosive power. But for the most part, with adults who are not athletes, we're going to fit in 4 phases because usually something pops up and we're not athletes training 24/7. We have real lives and things get in the way. So you're going to do 4 phases, and then you're going to map out, start with Q1. That's the one you're going to have the most details about because that's literally happening next week. That's the start. All right, map that out. Like, are you actually going to be able to be consistent? Win Super Bowl, wins the holiday. All that stuff is pretty much like easy to find. Most of your holidays and stuff are already on your phone. Like they're already fucking there. So it's not like, oh, when's St. Patty's this year? I don't know. Look it up. It's there. When's Easter? I don't know when it is right now, but if I can tell you right now, I have zero idea when Easter is this upcoming year, but we're going to find out right now. So it's generally April, or Palm Sunday is the 2nd. So Easter is the 9th of April. Okay. If you have a big celebration during that time, okay, now you can make a plan. Now you know, okay, 9th of April is Easter. If you celebrate Easter, that means that's the start of Q2. You already know if you're going into Q2 with a new phase, there is a little speed bump there. So just know that Easter might throw things off a little bit for that first week. No biggie. You have a plan for it now. Instead of like being blindsided, like, holy shit, I didn't realize this holiday was here. Like, really? It comes around every year. How old are you? You're 45. It's been like maybe slight adjustments, but basically the same thing for 45 years. It shouldn't be a fucking surprise. How quick it comes up is surprising, but it's not a surprise. Like you've been counting down the dates. Like July 4th, it's the 4th of July, the 4th day in July. As silly as it sounds, people will be like, I can't believe it's already it's the 4th of July. I'm going to get thrown off. Like you've been counting the dates since June, like June 15th, June 16th. Like it doesn't like sneak out of nowhere. Like surprise, it's the 4th of July. You better have some ribs ready to go and some brisket because we're doing a backyard barbecue. Like, oh fuck, that doesn't fucking happen. Like unless you're like waking up from a coma, which in case if you are, I'm sorry to hear that. But unless you're like waking up from a coma after like a month or a week, like it's not a surprise. Like you just lost track of time. Christmas, 25th of December every single year. It's surprising, like as I'm recording this, it's not Christmas yet, but surprising how fast it comes up. You're like, oh, it's beginning of December. Like, oh shit, it's the end of December. I hope I'm done with all my Christmas shopping. Surprising, but we know it's the 25th of December every fucking year. So that's why you map that out. So you have a visual and you can print this shit out on a piece of paper. I like pen and paper for this stuff. So if you like doing it electronically, go for it. I don't. I like pen and paper. So you can just print out like a 1-year calendar or a 6-month calendar, mark off all the holidays, mark off your trips. This is going to take you maybe 15 minutes. Like it doesn't take a ton of time. You're going to just have a rudimentary plan because the only one you need to get specific with is Q1 because things will change along the way. You're just going to have a general idea what you're going to do the rest of the year. And Q1, we get a little bit more specific of if it's a weight loss phase. Okay, here are the possible dates that are going to throw me off. I'm going to mark them off. Now it's not a surprise when Super Bowl pops up. I have no idea when that is this year, but it's probably already, that date's already out there someplace. So you just mark that off if you do a Super Bowl party every single year. Valentine's Day, when is that? St. Patty's Day, when is that? It's not going to be surprising. Or any other holidays. I'm sure there's other holidays in here that I'm missing. But you just mark those on their days off, any trips, anything else. Like, here's possibilities that will throw me off. And then you have realistic expectation of like, hey, there's a couple things that are going to throw me off. For example, we have a vacation first week or second week of February. I forget the exact date. So in the middle of my weight loss phase, I already know there's a speed bump. Okay, so that probably pushes my total weight loss phase into Q2 some. Okay, that's fine. I'll just make that adjustment instead of being like, I don't know what this is going to throw everything up. Like, there's no like magic date of it needs to be done here. It's just I'm saying quarters just to be like, hey, think that way to get things started. And then you might need an 8-week phase, a 16-week phase, etc. So for example, my endurance phases, generally I just do like 8 weeks, partially because I don't really like it, but I know it's going to help me with hunting. So I'm going to do a longer fat loss phase till I hit my goal. And that might be 12 weeks. It might be 10 weeks. It might be 12 weeks. It might be 16 weeks. It might be 20 weeks. I hope to God that it's not 20 weeks, but it's going to be something around that. So I already know that's cutting into that time frame. So let's say, we have 52 weeks. So minus 12. And I'm going to do at least like another 12 weeks of like a muscle building and strength building phase. Minus 12. All right, well, there's 28 weeks left. So that's 12 weeks. Then we're going to do 8 weeks of a muscle building phase. That's 20 weeks left that I can then do another muscle building / strength phase on the back end of that, or just continue the endurance phase for another 4 weeks. And there's that. Then there's 16 weeks left. Now, 16 weeks left, and you're like, well, you'll want some break weeks in there, like vacation or other stuff. So that's where you can kind of build those in, like, hey, 12-week phase, vacation, 12-week phase, vacation. And you can build those in. So that's how you want to look at everything. Just take some time, sit down. It won't take you long. Like that quadrant you can build out, like now, probably thinking of it, you can probably build that out in your head. And then you're just going to fine tune it with like a bigger calendar and just go through each month. Q1 is that's why you build out the quadrant first, because you don't want to be like individual months trying to figure shit out. You're like, okay, Q1 is January, February, March. The overwhelming focus here is this, and we're just going to map out the different areas that might throw me off track. We probably need a little bit longer than 12 weeks. Okay, cool. Just bump that a little bit longer. That's probably going to be the case. But like I said, you're going to have that light at the end of the tunnel. So when things are starting to get you're unmotivated towards the end of a phase, like, hey, something new is on the horizon. That's what helps keep you pushing forward. Bodybuilders do this. They have their dieting phase where they're getting ready for a show and they're miserable. They do their show, and then it's post-season. Now it's time to build muscle, reverse diet out, build some strength, etc. Then they go back into their dieting phase. And so there's always the cyclical, especially if they're on a yearly schedule or biannual schedule, like annual. You're like, how are they doing this all the time? It's like, well, they have different phases. It might not look like it to you from the outside, but this is literally what they're doing, or what athletes do. Athletes, you have preseason, in-season, postseason. So that's different phases. Like athletes aren't like in preseason year round. They would never be playing their games, and they're not playing their games. That's when they're like getting out of shape and injured because they're not able to train. And then postseason is time to like build the body back up, make it more resilient, recover from any injury. So that's how you just rotate through all the different things. Okay, it's preseason. Okay, we're focusing on these traits, generally like explosive power, endurance, depending on the sport, etc. Then it's going to be your in season. And if you're a former athlete, this is a great way to look at things. And then you have postseason. And that's only 3, but postseason might be split up into like, we're going to really start to build muscle here. And then we're going to build strength with that extra muscle mass we have, because those are 2 different things if you focus on them. That's why powerlifters aren't as big as bodybuilders, and bodybuilders aren't as strong as powerlifters. They're different. So we're going to build strength with that extra muscle mass. Then we're going to go into preseason, which we're going to then build maybe endurance and explosive power, and then it's game time. And you can break this up if you want to think like that. Like postseason might be those muscle, like I said, the muscle building phases. And if you have a weight to lose, that might be in season. Like that is in season time. So preseason is this, or maybe preseason is something. I don't care. How I would look at it is game time. Like in season would be like hunting season for me. postseason is basically like right about now. Like we have late season stuff, but I don't do a ton of late season, not nearly as much as like November, October, November, and early December as that I hunt. So we have some late season, but basically I'm postseason now. So I'm focusing on other things. So right now it's going to be lose weight that I built up from hunting. Then it'll be build muscle. And then my preseason to get ready for hunting is build endurance. And then in season again, I focus on just building or maintaining strength because I'm way less consistent. And then I turn around and all right, we're back to postseason, and that's how I view it. So it's up to you. But hopefully this has been helpful to you. Do the quadrant, then break down month by month, super, super quick. Again, this shouldn't take you longer than 10, 15 minutes. We're not talking about writing every little detail out. You don't need to go that specific. If you want to, only do that with Q1 because life is going to throw some curveballs at you and it's going to throw off Q2, Q3, Q4. Don't get hyper specific with those. Just focus on Q1 if you want to get hyper specific. And then once you are almost through Q1, then you do it with Q2 and really map out a plan. But this should help visualize your next year so you can set some realistic expectations of the results you can see with your health and fitness goals. Or if you have any other goals, you want to start a business, you want to learn a new skill, etc. Hunting trips, when are you going to train for those? What are you going to do, etc. You just build those out. And is it a realistic goal? Is it not? How focused can you be on it, etc. And as always, if this was helpful, please leave a 5-star review. It's helpful for spreading the word and making more people see the podcast. And links down below. We are going to be looking to bring on a few clients for our one-on-one coaching program in January. So you can apply down below. There's also a link to our free Facebook community where you can learn more about what we offer. And there's a ton of free resources. So if you're looking to get started, there's free workouts, diet programs, I should say like meal guides, not diet programs, and other things down below in the free Facebook community. And those are all for free in there. So thanks for tuning in.